In government, the Norwood Cultural Council met Monday evening. During their meeting, the group discussed the 150th anniversary celebration of the town of Norwood. The council also discussed updates from the Mass Cultural Council and possible grant opportunities. The Norwood Cultural Council will meet again in the coming weeks. Tuesday night, the Cable Commission met for the first time since January. The board heard updates from representatives from Verizon, Comcast, and Norwood Light. Jack Tolman, Executive Director of Norwood Community Media, updated the Commission and the representatives of all that NCN has done during the pandemic. The next Cable Commission meeting will be after the new year. For the past 3 weeks, the Norwood Public Schools have welcomed back students in a phased reopening plan. Sigal Reese, Superintendent of the Health Department, provided the school committee with a department update on the risk level changes.
But I think the main reason why we wanted to come speak with you was to talk about the risk level change. But before I do, right, hot off the presses, the report just came out a few minutes before this meeting, and Norwood is classified as green, which means our rate is lower. Yes, very good news. That's the first time in 6 weeks. So we've kind of been hopping up and down. In the yellow, we haven't seen a dramatic increase, but it was, ping-ponging back and forth. And so it's nice to see it go down below the rate into the green. So just for you and the public about what that classification is. So there's 4 colors that are designated for a 2-week case count. It's the average daily case count per 100,000. That's the rate. If a community has less than 5 cases, they're actually classified as gray because that's just too small a number to calculate the rate. If the rate is between 0 and 4, it's a low risk green community. Between 4 and 8, it's a moderate risk yellow community. And anything above 8 is considered red and a high risk community. And like I said, the rate is calculated by a rolling average over a 2-week period. And I always want to make the point that the smaller the population, the more fluctuation you see in the smaller number of cases. So 1 or 2 cases makes a drastic impact on our rate versus you look at Boston or other larger jurisdictions, 1 or 2 cases is not going to have much of an influence on their rate. And that's because it's calculated per 100,000. So just to say, we might see bigger swings just because we have smaller case count differences.
Sigal also talked about the proper protocol the schools are taking if someone was to test positive of COVID-19 in the schools.
Let me start, the second part's the easier one. So we will be notifying the classroom and the whole school where the student was. That's definitely something that we've talked about and we all agree. The whole school community would need to know that, whatever school it's at. As far as the contact tracing, so we apply the standard that we apply in every scenario is anybody within 6 feet of the individual for a 15-minute length of time. Understanding in a school environment, particularly the high school where students are moving around a lot, that can be very difficult. So really working with the staff and the school nurses to identify those close contacts. That's going to be our priority, honestly, as far as communications, is doing that investigation, figuring out who those people are and reaching out to them immediately to place them in quarantine. The good thing with COVID and most infectious diseases, it's not an instant thing. So just after your exposure, you're not contagious the next minute or the next day even. It's usually, 4 to 5, 6, it can be as many as 14 days, right? That's why we have a 14-day quarantine. And you might never get the disease. Exposure doesn't equal disease. Exposure just equals higher risk and chance that you might come down with the disease. So that's why we sort of draw that line around the 6 foot. We know your risk is higher within the 6 feet and closer to be exposed to enough viral load where you could possibly get it. It's all about percentage and probability, right? So there's a higher chance the closer you are to the individual that was positive when they were infectious.
Superintendent Thompson provided an update on the tremendous start to the school year. The teachers and staff have been doing a phenomenal job, and Thompson said it has been great to have the students back in the hallways. Superintendent Thompson reiterates how important it is to make sure the students are wearing their masks at all time during school, at after-school activities, or hanging with friends while practicing social distancing. The school committee's next meeting will be held on October 21st. Also Wednesday night, the Conservation Commission met with a full agenda. To begin the meeting, Bowler Engineering filed a notice of intent with the board. Later in the meeting, the Commission continued their notice of intent hearing from the September 2nd meeting with CertainTeed Roofing. To end the meeting, Eagle Scout Ryan Larson proposed a scout project to add kiosks at Endine Park. The next Conservation Commission's meeting will be later this month. For complete government coverage, tune into the NCM Government channel or watch it on demand at norwoodcommunitymedia.org.